I think it's just looking at team. I've played for many different teams over the years, locally, internationally, and you're always looking for that winning culture, aren't you? You're trying to find what's the key ingredients that will bring the best out of your sporting team, and what can be done to sustain that kind of performance. So in my presentation, I just talk a little bit about teams, how valuable individuals are, how the movement has gone away from it being a school or army structured environment where everyone listens to the main boss, and you've actually got to get to know your individuals who you're dealing with and try and get the best out of them. And then obviously the components that make up a strong side. There's the basics of setting up a good structure in place. But I think there are some key skills that need to be taught to the individuals. And I think also there's catalyst energy, which for me is moments and ongoings in the side, in and around the team that create energy into that environment, and you need to be able to identify them and use them. Pride of performance and that desire to be as best as you could be. I mean, I realized that I got my talents from God, and I wanted to try and nurture them as best I possibly could, and that was my real drive. I was competitive. I just loved playing sport. And, you know, to be able to earn a living out of doing something that you absolutely love came a bit across as a no-brainer for me. It was just the perfect sort of foil. And I just tried to develop myself as best I could. I didn't get overcomplicated with what I tried to do. I tried to keep things as simple as possible and just try to be as consistent as I could possibly be. I think a valuable and most important thing that you can possibly have as a young kid is to get taught the basics at an early age. And that was what I was very fortunate to have, a dad who had experienced and played at the top level. And to give me those basics when I was growing up meant that once I've got those in place, you just allow and see what talent takes over and what you can possibly achieve. Well, it was all about the head to start off with, because he was very important about two elements of it. Obviously, from a balance perspective in cricket, it's vital to stay upright when you're batting, bowling and fielding, and then use your brain as a thinking object as well. You need to be activated at all times when you're on the sports field to make sure you're thinking clearly. I think he also really installed a humble approach, you know, just to make sure that I didn't get ahead of myself. Because I had the Pollock name didn't mean anything. I still had to go out and do the hard work and try and achieve. I think that was the key elements for me. And then just there's no substitute for hard work. And I think for me, my whole life, I've just tried to be consistent. I think consistent in everything I do, the way I conduct myself and the way I go about my business. Yeah, I think leadership's changed. I think it's very different from being a player. A player is a very self-absorbed, selfish environment. You're worried about your own self, how the other people affect you and your own performances. When you go out of that into team leadership, now all of a sudden you've got to take 15 different individuals' emotions into account. And I think that's the big challenge for coaching and trying to be a leader outside that. And also, I think, as I say, the approach to leadership has changed from when I first started playing to what it is now. So, yeah, it is different, and you know, I think you need to be adaptable. I think that's probably the key. Well, I suppose anyone, if they get the right ingredients going, could get behind Bafana and try and get them to be as best they could possibly be. Whether they could be the world #1, we'll never know. But I think the challenge for each team and coach is to try and get them to be the best they can possibly be, and then take it from there. I think from a skills perspective, I think that's where we might be lacking a little bit. I think the focus around the world has gone to man management and trying to, yes, there's a place for that, but I think the skills, get them to a level where each of them have an awakening to what they can possibly achieve and the levels that they can get to. And once you've done that, everyone improves 10 or 15%. That makes a massive impact on the team.